Hey, welcome to Simply Science. I'm Barry Mitchell. Today we're at the New York Hall of Science in Flushing Meadows, Corona Park. A little later, I'll be participating in one of their daily demonstrations. Today's subject, flight. But first, breast cancer is the most common form of cancer for women in this country. Our Magalie Laguerre-Wilkinson visited doctors at the NYU Langone Perlmutter Cancer Center to catch up on some of the latest life-saving treatments.
A diagnosis of breast cancer used to be synonymous to a death sentence, but over the past 30 years, thanks to improvements in early detection and advanced treatments, doctors have seen the rate of breast cancer deaths decrease by nearly 40%. And studies have also shown more than some 500,000 breast cancers have been averted. Erin Sweeney's breast cancer was detected early. With no family history, her diagnosis was a surprise.
Definitely terrifying, I have to say. You really are momentarily overwhelmed.
After a routine mammogram,
got pulled into the back room with an image on the screen, and I probably could have found it myself. And there was obviously something there, and the doctor said, this is why we do early detection. And so what followed was tons of tests, a biopsy, and I found out pretty soon that I had breast cancer.
Dr. Deborah Axelrod is the Director of Clinical Breast Services and Surgery at NYU and also treated Erin Sweeney.
First of all, what's important is that if someone comes with a diagnosis of breast cancer, we need to address the breast cancer, right? Regardless of family history or not. Most people who get breast cancer do not have a family history of breast cancer. They don't have any identifiable risk factors.
Sweeney was lucky. The 46-year-old mother and lawyer had a small tumor that was caught early, and the cancer was localized. Still, she underwent a lumpectomy, followed by radiation. The entire experience made her recalibrate her life.
I couldn't change the fact that I had breast cancer inside of me, but I could change how I eat, really limiting alcohol, eating organic, healthy foods, drinking a lot of water, getting a lot of sleep, just taking care of yourself, and also increasing your exercise. During this whole process, I trained for a half marathon. And I'll tell you, I was a lot more concerned about my long run on the weekends than I was about my radiation treatment. It helped me really focus on positive things versus, oh my God, there's cancer inside of me.
The benefit of having been in practice for so many years is being able to see so many women survive.
Dr. Sylvia Adams is professor of medicine and the director of the Breast Cancer Center at NYU's Perlmutter Cancer Center. She's been developing treatments for one of the most aggressive and challenging to treat breast cancers, triple-negative breast cancer.
The strength of our program is the immunotherapy advances in triple-negative breast cancer, where we've actually, over the last 5 or 6 years, driven clinical research that now has actually resulted in FDA approvals of new therapies for women who have this very hard to treat cancer with a typically poor prognosis. The really exciting aspect of immunotherapy is that it can cure a patient because your own immune system can do good surveillance for any cancer cells that are anywhere for the long term because there is an immune memory. And therefore this is a very different strategy than using chemotherapy.
So that's what we're really looking at. We're looking at statistics. We're looking at a cohort or a group of women that have gone through the treatment and what works and what doesn't work.
I read somewhere that an estimated 40,000 plus women will die in 2019 from this. What are we not doing?
We can change the direction of the disease, but we can't change the disease itself. There are people that are going to die of breast cancer. We know that. But there are people that are going to live a lot longer than would have years ago without the treatment that we have. And the survival has improved in breast cancer, mainly because the treatments have improved.
So in 2019, are you satisfied with where we are in treating breast cancer?
I think that as a surgeon, as a woman, I I would never be satisfied unless we have a cure.
And Erin Sweeney's message to the women out there just diagnosed with breast cancer?
Have faith in that system and that process. It's going to be fine. It really is. The numbers are on your side.
CBD oil has been touted as a miracle cure for everything from arthritis to insomnia. Maybe it even makes you taller and slender. Here's Mike Gilliam.
Just about everywhere you go these days, you see signs for CBD, from the bodega to health and wellness stores. And people are making claims that it cures just about everything. So, what is it?
So CBD, or cannabidiol, is a component of the cannabis plant that is a natural cannabinoid, and it impacts on multiple systems in the body and the brain. And unlike THC, which is the psychoactive component of cannabis, CBD doesn't get you high.
Dr. Yasmin Hurd is the director of the Addiction Institute at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai Hospital. I asked her if all the buzz around CBD is myth or reality.
To me, that's myth. We have not yet proven that it cures even two things, much less, the hundreds of things that people now claim CBD can cure.
But Dr. Hurd is not ruling CBD DOA or dead on arrival.
Does it have potential to alleviate certain symptoms and disorders and potentially, quote unquote, I don't like to use the word cure, but really give people their lives back in different aspects of disease? I do think it has that potential, but it's not been proven yet. And it definitely will not be a panacea that can cure everything.
The potential is huge. Some of the problems that CBD may be effective in treating are serious.
Currently, the data is strong regarding its effect in decreasing seizures, and especially in children with rare forms of epilepsy. There have been clinical trials that have been conducted, and that data looks strong.
There have also been studies that have shown CBD to decrease anxiety, and that could help in the midst of the opioid crisis.
Even our own studies in people who have a heroin use disorder, we saw that it not only decreased their opioid craving, that it also decreased their anxiety.
She says now studies are going on with people suffering from PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder to see if CBD can help with the anxiety they deal with. And studies are being conducted to see if CBD might be effective in treating people for various forms of pain. That research is also looking into the best ways to administer CBD for particular pain needs. There are some safety concerns.
Not all CBD that's out there is safe and effective.
She says there are many companies jumping on the CBD bandwagon to make money.
Their product has not been shown to be safe. Their product has not been shown to be effective. So you have.
Is it regulated at all?
Right now, it's not regulated, and that's one of the things. I think that the government is now starting to play a bigger role, but the government was a little slow in recognizing that CBD was going to, explode like this.
And one other word of caution. If you're drug tested, CBD could be a problem.
There is a possibility for someone to test positive for cannabis, even though they have only consumed CBD. The CBD that they have consumed may not be as pure as they think because that company has perhaps some THC in there that they didn't realize.
Still, Dr. Hurd says, in her opinion, CBD is relatively safe.
Under certain circumstances, I could say yes, I think that people could use it, but it's not yet possible to say just broadly it's, the best thing since sliced bread that everybody should be using.
The availability of CBD products has exploded in recent years, but the science and the regulations are lagging behind. So if you're going to use the product, it might be a good idea to only get it from a trusted source. I'm Mike Gilliam for Simply Science.
There are almost 1 million asteroids zipping around Earth. There's one now. And some of them have gotten uncomfortably close to Earth, like that one. Here's Susan Jhun.
The Washington Post reports NASA has confirmed a so-called city killer asteroid narrowly missed hitting Earth. What's more alarming, scientists say they had no idea it was coming.
It was a news story that nearly rocked the world. A close encounter that startled scientists who say the football field-sized asteroid could have destroyed a city, with an impact similar to that of a large nuclear weapon. The enormous space rock named 2019 OK whizzed by Earth in late July. According to data from NASA, it was estimated to be 187 to 427 feet wide, coming within 45,000 miles of Earth, the largest asteroid to come that close in a century. No, it's not science fiction like in the movie Armageddon. Instead, a real reminder that asteroids can kill.
People don't take us seriously because they think this is something out of Hollywood. But remember, Hollywood got its inspiration from a real rock that actually hit Mexico, that actually did wipe out the dinosaurs. So this is not science fiction anymore. This is deadly serious.
Famed physicist Dr. Michio Kaku is a professor of theoretical physics at the City College of New York and author of the bestseller Future of Humanity.
Once every 100 years or so, we have a city buster, an object about the size of an apartment building that comes burning up into the atmosphere, striking the Earth, mainly in the ocean, so we're not even aware of it. Russia got hit twice, 1908, the Tunguska impact, and also 2013, right outside Chelyabinsk, right on schedule. Once every few thousand years, we have a nation buster, like Apophis. Apophis is an asteroid bigger than the Rose Bowl, and it'll skim by the Earth in 2029. It'll probably miss, but then it'll come back for a second try, and in 2036, it might actually hit the Earth. Then we have the planet killer. That is the planet buster, like the object that hit Mexico, the Yucatan of Mexico, about 65 million years ago. It was about 6 miles across. And the impact was so great that it probably wiped out the dinosaurs.
But the recent failure to detect the 2019 OK asteroid has many wondering what can be done and what isn't being done.
According to internal NASA emails disclosed to the public, the asteroid managed to slip past all detection methods and was spotted only 24 hours before flyby because initially it was moving too slow to be identified as an NEO, or near-Earth object. The failure to spot the NEO brings up long-standing concerns about the lack of government funding for asteroid detection.
The first thing to do is to get more telescopes out there specifically designed for looking for near-Earth objects. Second, we have to look at the space program. Not just going back to the moon, but perhaps having a spare rocket, an insurance policy, Plan B, capable of reaching deep space.
So once we have the tools to spot a destructive asteroid headed straight to Earth, then what?
The leading theory about how to get rid of a killer asteroid is to deflect it. That is, let's say you were to generate a nuclear explosion a fair distance away from an asteroid. The shock wave from that detonation would be enough to nudge the asteroid out of the way without necessarily blowing it apart.
Currently, NASA believes it has identified more than 90% of planet-killer asteroids.
There are scientists who are organizing groups in order to lobby Congress so they can allocate money to NASA. We have to reach the people to tell them that it's not an immediate threat. We're not talking about bankrupting the country to arm ourselves against rocks from space. No, but it's an insurance policy because it will happen. It's the law of physics, the laws of probability. It will happen again.
For Simply Science, I'm Susan Jhun.
It's been 7 years since Superstorm Sandy ravaged the New York City area. Now, citizens and scientists alike are conducting research to see how rising sea levels and weather will be affecting our area in the future. Here's Andrew Falzon.
It was a sunny late afternoon when we visited Old Howard Beach. You wouldn't expect the streets to flood, but the restless water of Jamaica Bay found its way through storm drains and onto the blacktop. The high tide brought with it some unexpected visitors, small baitfish going for a swim on city streets. We stuck around to watch the water as twilight turned to nightlight.
I've heard a lot of stories from residents. It's either due to old infrastructure or storm drains just getting really clogged up.
Helen Cheng has heard many accounts from locals as to exactly why flooding happens in the city's waterfront communities. Her job now is to collect flood data that will help the government figure out what's causing it and how to fix it.
The Jamaica Bay Community Flood Watch program is a program that uses community citizen science to document flooding due to high tides or coastal flooding or from storms.
The Jamaica Bay Community Flood Watch program is run by the Science and Resilience Institute, a consortium of institutions, including CUNY, that was formed in response to Superstorm Sandy.
Hurricane Sandy was the big story and is the story for many residents. And so the more we can understand about the frequency, the better we can be prepared of what flooding would look like in the future.
At the end of Old Howard Beach is Hamilton Beach, a tiny outlying peninsula community with only one road in and one road out. Roger Gendron leads the local civic group. He tried using Facebook before Sandy to keep neighbors up to date on flood info, but it took a superstorm to send the community a wake-up call.
When Sandy hit in October of 2012, I had 22 members on my civic page. I currently have almost 900 on the civic page.
Nearly the entire community had to be rebuilt after Superstorm Sandy, so it wasn't hard to get folks like Roger to participate. In fact, it's as easy as taking a picture on your cell phone.
Well, if you have an immovable object in front of your house, telephone pole, a fire hydrant, anything, go out there and put a mark on it with tape or paint, 6 inches, 12 inches, 2 feet, 3 feet. Because then when you take a picture, if that is in that picture, then you have a good reference. Then you know there's a 6-inch mark. The water's 6 inches in the street.
But in a community that has complained to City Hall about flooding issues since long before the superstorm, there can be some cynicism about participating in the program.
It's that old, my vote doesn't count, my voice is never heard. Well, it's wrong in this case because the photos that I've sent in and the residents have sent in, what they've done is they've actually enabled NOAA to kind of hone their numbers when it comes to minor to moderate to major coastal flooding.
The goals would be to really share those stories and those narratives about impacts of flooding, as well as improve our flood forecasts or flood models, so that way we can be better prepared and aware of when flooding would happen and be prepared to handle it.
I'm Andrew Falzon for Simply Science on CUNY TV.
Did you know there are two kinds of flight? Aerodynamic flight uses thrust and power to achieve lift, like airplanes and rockets. Aerostatic flight uses the differences in air density to achieve lift, like hot air balloons. I had the opportunity to participate in a demonstration of both right here at the New York Hall of Science. Mission control, ready for countdown. 3, 2, 1. Someone didn't pay the electric bill this month. Whoa! Here at the New York Hall of Science, James is going to explain the principles of flight, starting with hot air balloons.
Here I have a bag, right? And underneath of this, we have a hot plate.
It's hot.
What the fire is doing is that it's heating up the air that's in the hot air balloon. Mm-hmm. When the air inside of the balloon is hotter, it's less dense than the air around.
Got it.
So if we were to let go, you want to do the countdown? Let's do a countdown.
3, 2, 1. There it goes back to Kansas. There goes the Wizard of Oz.
This is all happening because of a law called the law of buoyancy. The law of buoyancy says that when the lighter object is surrounded by a heavier substance. The lighter object will rise. The lighter object will be the bag, and the heavier substance would be the air around the bag.
Cool. I mean hot.
Okay, now we're going to learn about the principles behind an airplane lifting up.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Newton's law, right?
Newton's third law of motion.
He has 3 laws?
Yes.
Okay.
We're only going to be using his third law.
Okay, his 3rd law, right.
Yes. And my assistant Barry will get me a balloon. So Newton's third law states that for every action,
there is an equal action.
An equal and opposite reaction.
Yes, an equal opposite reaction. Okay. The air is going this way, it's pushing the balloon that way.
Exactly.
Newton Airlines Flight 1 cleared for takeoff. Newton's 3rd law says that for every action, there's an opposite reaction. So how does that relate to an airplane?
So basically, the air flows downward on the wing of the airplane.
This is a wing.
Yeah, right? It's moving down this way. What is the opposite of going down?
Going up.
Going up, which allowed the airplane to move up.
To rise.
Exactly.
Got it. And now rocketing into outer space with Newton's 3rd law and a bottle and some alcohol.
The first thing I will do is spray some alcohol inside of the bottle.
Alcohol, okay.
Right? And if you look over here, you see a little spark? You see the little spark?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So that little spark is going to spark a reaction inside of the bottle.
Whoa! James, thanks very much, and time for us to take flight.
The opposite way, should have been.
It's an opposite reaction. What can I tell you? Winnie the Pooh likes honey in a jar. I like honey in tea. Ari Goldberg likes honey on the Magalie Honors College roof.
We did buy them online. So they come in this crate that you can see through. Obviously, they need to breathe. So the people at the post office were very freaked out. They were like, come get your packages. And you just come and you pry open the top and you just pour them into the hive. It's pretty easy, actually, but walking through the streets was very interesting.
What you are looking at are the Magalie Honors College beehives. Spearheaded by the student-run Green Initiative Club, for the last 2 years, the students and staff advisors have been making a home for bees right on their own school patio.
So I'm a part of Magallie's Sustainability Committee. We received $1,000 from the CUNY Sustainability Committee to fund a sustainability project here at Magalie, and that committee within Magalie, students and staff alike, thought that the bees would be the most interesting, fun project to do.
When I realized that the bees were coming to Magalie, I was just kind of like, oh my God, I gotta see what this entails. I gotta see what it's all about. So I came, I saw what it was all about. I helped out in my own small way taking care of the bees. And after that, I was just hooked. Because we don't often think about how important bees are. And they really, people just think, oh my God, there's a bee, run, kill it, it's gonna sting you or whatever. But bees pollinate over 1/3 of our food supply. So they're it's not just in relation to us, they're necessary for how we eat.
Actually, honeybees aren't even native to North America, only first being brought over by the European settlers. But just like how the honeybees are now vital for feeding ourselves, sometimes beekeepers have to open up the hives and feed them too.
When you lift up the hive, you're going to see it almost looks like file cabinets, and each one contains like hundreds and hundreds of bees. I can't give you an exact number, but I would say ballparking upwards of 2,000-3,000.
The honeybee's importance to our food supply cannot be overstated. The United Nations reports that worldwide, pollinators like bees drive $600 billion into the economy. But due to pressures like pesticides, disease, and habitat loss, wild bee populations have been decimated. As such, Magalie hopes that offering opportunities like this for people to be hands-on with the beehives will inspire education, awareness, and conservation efforts. Because the excitement to get up close and personal and help feed the hive yourself is definitely a thrill.
Depending on range. Yeah! Yes. Yeah, I think it's been a real success, the program so far. The students have been very receptive, really shown a lot of interest. We had a workshop last week, and we had about 20 students who were all just so eager to get their hands on the bees.
What would you say to a student that's maybe a little nervous about coming up here with bees flying around?
They're not out to get you, so there's really nothing to be afraid of, as long as you're just careful and mindful that they're, wild animals and they need their space.
I would say that, thanks to this, we've definitely begun to educate people more on the importance of bees, and we've definitely begun to increase awareness about the importance it is to take care of them.
Whoa. From the buzzing beehives here at Magalie Honors College.
For Simply Science, I'm Ari Goldberg.
And that's our show. Thank you to the New York Hall of Science. Find out more about all the fun stuff they have going on here at nysci.org. And you can always reach us at tv.cuny.edu and Facebook and YouTube. I'm Barry Mitchell. Hope to see you next time on Simply Science.